everybody. Let's talk about real estate. You know, they gave me a list of the most asked questions in 2022. And I bet if you're an agent, you've probably heard these same questions that I've heard. So I wanted to go through them with you and see if we can talk about how to answer some of the concerns. You know, I've always said that, or I've said recently that the public has been bruised because of COVID, and they need to be handled tenderly because there's so much going on. And that's important when it comes to making a big purchase like a home. So I want to start with these questions, and then if you have any additional thoughts or anything, just type it in the chat, and let's open our collective brilliant minds and actually think about these questions. So the first question out there is, are home prices going to come down anytime soon? Boy, that's a good question. You know, we know from history that home prices have come down because they went down in 2008. And a lot of people reference that. A lot of people still remember that and think about that 2008 and worry themselves sick that this might be a time that we would see home prices go down. So we know that in the last 8 recessions, the only recession that really hurt real estate was the 2008, the Great Recession. And the cards are just not, we're not dealt the same cards right now that we were dealt in 2008. In 2008, they were making risky loans. Basically, the government passed laws to allow lenders to make risky loans. Now, all lenders didn't make risky loans, but enough of them did that it made a huge impact on real estate. So the risky loans were there. You could actually get a house by telling them what you made per year. They didn't do a verification of employment. I don't know if you've applied for a loan lately, but it's not a real pleasant experience. It's actually a lot of detail and a lot of work. So, and also there was a lot of foreclosures at that period of time. And right now, even with the forbearance that we had during COVID, there's not foreclosures in our market, or not a big factor in our market. But just remember this. In the downturn that really hurt real estate, what preceded that downturn was the deterioration of what was required in order to get a home loan. So I don't think prices are going to come down anytime soon, because I think the factors that have brought our real estate up in value locally, and we'll even talk a little bit national, has been, you know, the growth of the Triangle. The Triangle is one of the top 3 markets in the United States. So there's a lot of job demand. There's not a lot of people that are coming here because of the price of our homes compared to where they're coming from. So we look attractive to them. I think the person that we're really hurting probably is the local people who've seen those our prices just skyrocket during the last 3 or 4 years, and it's sticker shock and not getting accustomed to it. But please, you gotta get accustomed to it, because there's a lot of reasons that real estate can help you build your wealth. And this is not the same as 2008. This market is not what we had then. So the second question really is, are we in a real estate bubble? And that kind of goes with the first one. And again, we learned a lot of lessons in 2008. You know, there were some smart lenders back in 2008 who did not lower their standards of loans, and they stayed in business. And you did hear of some large lending institutions going under because they did jump on the opportunity to make that money quick, but it had long-term ramifications. So unverified loans are not a way to run a business. And that's really what happened then. A lot of people cashed out in the former downturn to have a lifestyle, to go buy a boat, to buy a jet ski, to have less equity in their home. So I don't think that we're in a real estate bubble because the standards are so different now in getting a loan, and they've been that way since 2008. There's something called disposable family income, and that amount has doubled right now compared to what it was in 2008. So we were living from paycheck to paycheck in 2008, and right now we've learned some lessons. So in my opinion, no, we're not in a real estate bubble because of a massive amount of relocation, generational relocation, also just geographically relocation, and also just the growth spurt here in the triangle. So that's big. So we go to the next question. What if I can't find a house when I sell? Let's think about that one. What if you can't find a house? You sell your house and you can't find a house when you sell. Well, I think you can do just about anything you really want to do, but you have to determine why you want to do it. So one of the first things I want to ask my client is, are you in your forever home? Would your optimal move be to downsize? Would it be to move to the beach? Would it be to move to the mountains? Would your optimal move be good if you move to a bigger home while your children are still at home, so they can enjoy that big family home with you, and it can be a place for them to come home to? I think knowing what you want to do in real estate is really important. But you know what? There's no free lunch. You will pay a price. It'll cost you more than you thought it was going to cost you. But in the long run, is it the best thing? Is it the best thing for you to have that big family home while your children are there to enjoy it with you? Is it the best thing now to go down in price, even though you're not getting near what you would have gotten 5 years ago? But believe me, the real estate market and inventory is disappearing from the bottom up, not the top down. So going down is actually harder than it once was. So you have to go maybe to a more rural area than you thought. Maybe you expand, maybe you do a remodel. If you want to do something badly enough, you can do it, and you should do it in this market, because I believe we're in the beginning stage of what's going to be continued growth. And I can support that with a lot of data, which I'll share with you. The next question is, should we wait before we buy a home? And the answer is no. In my opinion, no. If you know you're going to be here, if you know you want a home, if you've got job security and you're not relocating somewhere out of this area, then you should buy a home. If you are going to relocate, you shouldn't buy a home. If you're in a home that you really enjoy and you think you're going to enjoy for years to come, you should stay in that home, improve that home, keep that home up, because it's a great investment. But you go back to why wait to buy a home? That reminds me of the first home, but it could also be an upgrade home. Is there a good case for you to wait to buy a home? And I would just tell you that I've just read a report of national real estate, and national real estate is projected. What they do is they take all the economists, hundreds and hundreds of them. They have the negative economists, they have the positive economists, and then they average them together. And that's kind of an interesting exercise. But they came out with a statistic that they felt nationally, not even in markets as hot as ours, that real estate was going to appreciate a little bit over 9%. So let's just work with round numbers and say real estate's going to increase 10%. I know in our market, the Triangle market, in the last 24 months, in the last 12 months, we've increased somewhere between 20 and 24%. That's twice the national average. So let's just say on a $500,000 home, if you hold it for 1 year, you buy that home is going to be worth in 1 year. If we only use half of that appreciation, it's going to be worth $550,000. And you divide that $50,000 appreciation by 12 months, and you get a little bit over 4,000. We're just using round numbers, so let's round it up to 5,000 since I gave a break on appreciation. I hope you're following me, because numbers don't portray well when it comes to talking about something. But the house that you're looking at is appreciating so fast, and interest rates are also at play as well. So I don't think there's a good case at all to waiting. I think what you're seeing is fear from headlines that are out there, and they are starting to have those fearful headlines, which is something that news media is known for. They don't really ever want to know what's happening good. You know, the saying in news media, do you remember it? If it bleeds, it leads. So when it comes to negativity, the news is always about the negativity, because that really helps, and it does have an effect. So I think that the public should turn off their TVs right now, because I'm not sure that anything there is really very positive. So this one's another question, and the next question is, if I can get it up here on this, is how long will it take for my property to sell? That's an interesting question, because, you know, this is a high demand property. So I would tell you that if your home is priced correctly and you're in a high demand area, you should get multiple offers, especially if you have an agent that's done the buildup. In other words, my friend, you cannot expect to put a house on the market on Friday and have the best offer by Monday. Can you have an offer by Monday? Yeah, you probably could get an offer by Monday, but you haven't saturated the market. You haven't looked, you haven't done a buildup to that home. So the chances that you're going to get 20 offers is pretty slim. So here's the thing. If you price it correctly, you should get multiple offers. If you price it way out of bounds, days on market is not a seller's friend. So don't price it way out of bounds. Use your professional realtor as a guide to what you should price it with. And I'll tell you another thing too. If you've had 10 showings and no offers, you priced it wrong. So let's think about that. And that should give you some guidelines to work with that. And then the next question is, with inventory so low, what if I can't find a new home to buy? Now, a new home can also be a resale home. So if we're going to just narrow the scope to what if I can't find a new home, I would say that finding a new home is probably a pretty good bet. Although I want to tell you that building a home from scratch is the most expensive way you can buy real estate. The second most expensive way you can buy real estate is usually a new home neighborhood. There's nothing wrong with that, but just be aware that there are resales out there that do give you great value in great neighborhoods. So what if you can't find a new home to buy? You know, I think when people start out, sometimes if you've heard the saying, I've got champagne taste and a beer budget. When you first buy a home, we fixed our homes up. When I first bought my home in my 20s, the upstairs hallway slanted as I walked down it. I could put a marble and it would always go a certain way. So it wasn't perfection that we bought. We got in the market. We used that first home as a stepping stone to get to the second home and our next home and our ultimate home. So with inventory so low, what if I can't find a new home to buy? You can find a new home to buy. It's just you have to ease up on perfection. You've got to widen your scope. Getting in the market is much more important than staying on the sidelines waiting for Mr. or Mrs. Perfect or the perfect house. So the next question is, can we limit showings to only serious buyers? Well, I have to go back to the quality of the agent that's out there that's doing the showings. And of course, there's 10,000 agents out there right now. I cannot attest to the quality of every single agent. A smart agent, a career agent has qualified a buyer before they ever put them in the car with them. So that's an important thing to know. Yes, you can restrict showings. You can restrict showings and say, I want proof of deposit, proof of funds. You can limit showings. But when you go on the market, there's some annoyance that comes along with being on the market. Now, we can cut down on that. We can shorten the time. But the ultimate goal of most people that list their home with me is they want the highest amount of money that they can get. And you don't get that way by putting a huge amount of restrictions. That's your agent's job to judge the quality of that buyer and to diligently figure out whether they're the right buyer, whether that's the best offer. So the next question is, do virtual open houses and showings work? And the answer is, oh yes, they work. We have sold so many homes where my agents have gone out, we're dealing with a buyer in another state, and they show them through that house on FaceTime. And it is so important to have that. It's also so important to know the agent that you've entrusted your house with, if they do drone video, if they've done a lot of promotion on the prior houses they have listing. Because believe me, I've seen way too many homes go in MLS with a cell phone picture, and that's not a professional picture. There's a great job to be done on houses, and so that's the quality of your agent that you choose. Drones, virtual tours, even Matterport can make you feel like you're walking through the house. So that's pretty good. And then of course the buildup is that we do in Coming Soon Homes for up to 30 days is a tremendous way to be able to sell the house sight unseen. But yes, virtual, we've sold a house sight unseen. So we've done that by putting those things online, and people have actually made offers. 53 of them, as a matter, last year made an offer on our home without ever walking into that home. So that's an important thing to know. The next question is, what if I get an offer over asking price and the home won't appraise for the sale price? Oh, I know there's some buyers out there that are worried about that. And then I go back again to the quality of your agent, because a career agent, a real professional agent, knows how to handle that deal. Believe me, there's appraisal addendums. There's a plan in place of what if this house does not appraise. And there's new options. I am so literally excited about the new options that I've recently found for first-time buyers to get back in the market. And just to make that as simple as I can, is we've got an investor that will make a cash offer for that first-time home buyer if they qualify, which are a little bit lower standards than qualifying for a regular loan. And they will make a cash offer on the house that's probably got multiple offers on it, and then allow that buyer to have home ownership. I'm so excited about that. If you want to know more information about that, please call me, because there are new options that are going to help us not sell houses to investments, because who takes better care of a house? Does a homeowner take better care of a house, or does an investor or a renter take it? And I think everybody knows a homeowner has pride of ownership. So yes, if you get an offer over asking price, you've got to have the cash in the bank to cover that. And a lot of first-time buyers don't have that, but a smart agent is going to help you have the plan for that. All right, next question is, will my property pass inspection? Most properties are passing inspection these days. Actually, we get a lot of offers that say we're going to do an inspection, but this offer is an as-is offer and it's not subject to an inspection. So this is a very good time. In the past, we've had a lot of trouble with the inspections and things like that. But these days, the way the market is, that's a much looser thing. I think, though, to realize that the property disclosure, I would want a seller to realize that the property disclosure is a very important document, and to take your time filling it out. I think way too many times it gets filled out too quickly, and the thought is not into really answering the question as detailed as it should be. And it's a fair thing, and it's a good thing to fill out the property disclosure with a lot of care. So the next one is, what mistakes should I avoid? Well, when you're buying, your choice of the agent is the biggest choice that you have that will affect your situation. And so this is not the time to get a rookie. This is not a time to use your best friend's daughter that just got her license. Get a professional agent that knows the temperature of this market, the pace of this market, and that can actually get you in a house. You know, I've heard people recently comparing Triangle Real Estate to owning Apple stock at the beginning. In other words, they think this market is going to rise so much that owning a home right now is like having a big chunk of Apple stock right when it first began, which turned out really well for them. On the selling side, I'd have to say that the choice of agent is still the most important thing. People think just because it's a high demand market that any agent will come up with the same benefits, and the answer is no, they don't. The same results does not happen with every agent because every agent doesn't have the Google footprint. Every agent doesn't have the things that they need. So the mistakes when you're a seller, here's a mistake. It's called greed. Don't get greedy. Getting greedy can hurt your ultimate goal. And there was a reason you put your house on the market. And you do want to get top price, but sometimes people get greedy in a market like this. Days on market is not your friend. If you way overprice that house, or it's just going to be difficult. And that record of the house being on the market at a price that didn't sell will actually haunt you. You know, Google haunts you forever. They know everything about you. They track you all the time. So I've got a couple of questions here. I'm going to deviate to answer them. Does anyone have experience around orchard, knock, etc., to purchase before selling? Yes, I do. Ribbon, orchard, knock, we've used some of those. I think the current people that we're coming into right now that I'm just getting to know in this last 3 days, actually, I'm going to be putting out a video about how excited I am doing business with them because they're cheaper than some of these other options. They're actually costing my buyer less. But yes, those are all options you should explore as an agent for your buyers. And then the second question was, do you suggest underpricing a little to create fierce competition? No, I just think pricing right on the money is probably a good way to go. Here's the thing about it. A lot of agents don't understand pricing because when you look at pricing, the most important thing that's happening right now is what's pending, what's gone on the market recently. In the past, to do an appraisal, they can only use what's sold. But I think the pending market also tells you how much that market is going up. So I don't suggest underpricing the house. I suggest pricing it right on the money. And when you price it right, you're going to get multiple offers unless you're in just a really, really low demand area. So again, I go back to the quality of your agent. The next question is actually, how do I attract buyers now? Now, I don't know whether if this is an agent, how does an agent attract buyers? That's one thing. I mean, let's answer that first. How does an agent attract buyers? And an agent attracts buyer by coming to work for the Marti Hampton team and learning how to use Coming Soon Homes for 30 consecutive days to market the home and then setting that first open house. I mean, that's a tremendous way to attract buyers and to build a flame and to build a fire and to build a lot of enthusiasm about the house. I've done this 1,000 times, but it's like going to a concert. And the concert, the main headline singer doesn't come out till 9 o'clock, but the concert starts at 6. So who do they send out first? The warm-up acts, and then when everybody's pretty happy by that time, they send out the main agenda and the person stays out on stage maybe for an hour, hour and a half. So I think the coming soon home period is very important. It's an asset for the agent. It's also an asset for the home seller. I know it's the right way to market real estate. So I feel that's how you attract buyers. Doing an open house is still a very good way to attract buyers. Talking to the neighborhood and inviting people to that open house is a great way to attract buyers. Now, from a seller's point of view, how to attract buyers is hiring the right agent. Hire an agent that actually has got a big footprint on Google, has spent money on advertising, who doesn't have to wait for your house to go on the market before they've got something to advertise. And believe me, that happens all too often. And homeowners just say, well, my house is going to sell no matter what. And they're only depending on MLS. And that's like finding a needle in the haystack. This is a little bit more sophisticated market than that. So open houses, call around, work for those buyers as well. Guys, I've just talked to you about some things that just are coming up in this market. I hope I've given you some ideas of how to talk to your clients and just to tell you how much real estate is a great investment. And the price, it may seem like it's a dear price right now, but owning real estate is a stepping stone to family wealth, to individual wealth. It's the top investment over the years. Nothing has topped real estate. And if you look at the smart money right now, a lot of it is leaving the stock market and going into real estate. I see a lot of it by investors. When you've got an area like we have that's swarming with investors, that shows you that real estate is a strong investment. So I would count that with my last little thing about, I'm going to do a video very soon about the new alternative that we found, similar, but not exactly like some of these things that you mentioned here before, Knock and Ribbon and Orchard and all these, because they're investors that are sold on helping homeowners get back into homes instead of selling neighborhoods out to investors. So I hope you enjoyed today. I love talking about real estate. I'm so glad you joined me. Thank you.